All right, everybody, welcome. This is a video just before we get into Chapter 10b to review Trig. We're going to need to just remember how to use Trig to find a side for when we get into regular polygons again, which will be tomorrow. So this says we can use trigonometry to find missing links of right triangles when we know one side and the measure of an angle. So the way that we did this was with something called SOHCAHTOA. So you're going to want your calculator to kind of punch things in along with me and make sure that it's in degree mode. So this is a picture of a problem that you would use trigonometry for. We don't have enough information to find x with Pythagorean theorem because we would need to know two of the three sides for that. So you know an angle, you know one side, and you're looking for another side. So the first thing we did is we labeled O, A, and H. We know that H is just opposite the right angle. You go from your angle across to the other side. That's where your opposite goes. And then whatever's left over is called your adjacent side. So that would be x this time. So what we have here is we know the opposite side and the adjacent side. So in other words, we don't know the h. We don't need it for anything. So we look up here at SOHCAHTOA for the one that has O and A in it. And that's going to be tangent this time. So the next slide will be our setup step, tangent of 38. So here's where we picked tangent because we had opposite and adjacent. We put the angle measure in the parentheses, equals, and then this is in order, O over A. So since we have 19 by O and then X by A, we write 19 over X. And these were the ones that took a little bit more work because the X was on the bottom. When that happens, it ends up being a dividing problem. But here's the algebra steps just in case you want to see those. So the next thing we would need to do is multiply this X to the other side. So we're going to multiply both sides by an X. What that accomplishes is we're able to cross out these X's on this side. And then we're left with 19 on this side, okay, and the X times tangent of 38 on the other side. So from there, what we can do is we can divide this tangent over. This is just a ratio, so it's just a decimal. Tangent of 38 is just a number, so we can just divide it to the other side. So here's that step of dividing the tangent 38 over. And then what that accomplishes is now these tangents have been crossed out. At that point, now we're able to look at 24.3 as our final answer, 19 divided by tangent of 38. Let's try another example. So here's another one. Okay, let's label O and H and A. Okay, H is always the side across from the right angle, so we're right there for that one. Then we have across from the 37 is our opposite, and then whatever's left is A, that's adjacent. So this time we know A and we need H. The one that has A and H in it is ca for cosine. So this is a cosine problem. Cosine of the angle 37 is equal to 52 over x. Again, we're doing adjacent over hypotenuse, 52 over x. Again, we have x on the bottom, which is just a little bit more work. We can multiply the x to the other side. If I multiply this side by x and that side by x, I can now cross out these x's. Now this is my new equation with the x canceled out and move to the other side. And then I have one more step to divide the cosine over, and that's this step. Now the cosines here have canceled. And what we now have is 65.1. Okay, that's just 52 divided by cosine of 37 in your calculator, and 65.1 would then be our answer. One more example. Here's our hypotenuse across from the right angle. Opposite side is O. And then we have our A for our adjacent side. This time we have O and H. We're looking for O, we know H, so this is going to be that sine opposite over hypotenuse. So here's our setup. The sine of the angle, which is 32, is equal to the opposite side x over the hypotenuse, 6.8. This one's actually the shortest one. All we need to do is multiply this 6.8 to the other side. What that does is cancel out these 6.8s, and here's our new equation. 6.8 times sine of 32 is what goes into our calculator. That gives you about 3.6, which is our final answer. So that's a really quick overview of what it takes to use trig to find a side. Thanks for watching.